My Big Fat Greek Wedding, just like The
Okay.
Godfather.
I mean, both big Mediterranean families.
True,
Weddings are scenes in both. So they're the same
true,
movie. Same
true.
movie.
From 2002, directed by Joel Zwick, starring Nia Vardalos, John Corbett, Michael Constantine, a whole bunch of other people. A quick logline: a young Greek woman falls in love with a non-Greek and struggles to get her family to accept him while she comes to terms with her heritage and cultural identity. Sure, okay, not the best, but we'll take it. Um, so this movie is on my list, other than just being like a family favorite. Like we all watched this movie on repeat many, many times just growing up. But I think personally for me, this movie represents how the chaos and love of a family all sort of lives in the same space. I don't think my family, is loud or crazy the way this family is. It's all exaggerated. I don't know if any family is really like this.
Right.
Probably not. I
Yeah.
doubt it.
Right.
But that's not the point. I think the point of the movie is that we all have complicated relationships with our parents and with our siblings and with our second cousins and whoever, and they're all smothering us, but they're also in some ways like holding us back to realize our own dreams. But in the same vein, they also end up helping us in our own journeys and helping enabling whatever path we end up taking. So in some ways it does harken back to what you were saying about Royal Tenenbaums. Like, it is the things you do and don't as the leaders of the family that impact what is going to happen with the kids, sometimes in spite of themselves and sometimes because of themselves. So I think this movie treads that line beautifully. It's hilarious, over the top, uh, even annoying at some times, but it's, I don't know, in my mind, in my family's mind, like this is totally emboldened. And there are moments, which are exaggerated, but there's like real depth and emotion behind it, which is like when the father says, why you leave me. It stuck with me throughout my entire life. My sister and I, we would laugh at this movie specifically also because we saw a little bit of our dad in this dad who would, from a place of wanting to maybe be right, but also really just protect his kids and protect his family, kind of go overboard on things. And then watching how my mom or other members of the family, like my aunts and such, intervene in clever ways to make things happen. And then ultimately, it is the dad who, you know, makes that great speech at the daughter's wedding and buys them a house.
Hmm.
Arguably, the house is exactly next door to his house.
Hey, well, it's a free house. What are you gonna
Free house.
do?
But it's one of the sweetest moments. And then all the hilarity and Andrea Martin, Babupsi, all of it. I'm here for it. So I don't know. It's exaggerated, crazy, but it I think it has a lot of love and comes from a real place of the chaos and eccentricities that families are. So yeah, that's my number one, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of coming from real place, I mean, you definitely can tell like Nia, who starred in the film, also wrote it and based on a like a one woman show that she did about her own upbringing. It feels
Mm,
very, very personal, but at
yeah,
the same time, very universal as well. I mean,
totally.
this film, it's a Greek family, but it really is any kind of son of an
Yeah,
immigrant family, I'm sure. I mean, that's why this movie was such a gigantic runaway blockbuster hit,
yeah,
because especially in the United States, I think a lot of families could relate to this with, oh, my dad from the old country or whatever, and crazy cousins and things. So yeah, I'd seen this film when it came out. Like I am half Greek on my dad's side, and definitely when this movie was starting its massive takeover of the world. It definitely was something where, okay, all the, you want to see the movie because it's about Greeks, and that's something that's very rarely covered in American cinema. So it was sort of like a point of pride. I think even my dad might have seen it first, and it was like, I'm taking the whole family. We got to see this movie. And again, I didn't relate to any of the characters. I mean, my dad was not an immigrant like his father was, but that was not my experience. And I think a lot of this is very, generic immigrant family humor, not necessarily specific to the Greeks, but I thought it was a cute film that I always enjoyed at the time, and it was fun kind of going back to it. I do think it is a lot about similar to Tenenbaums in a way. It's like the positives and the negatives of the family. Like the family does smother you, and sometimes you feel like you're caught under expectations of, well, I have to do this because my dad says, why are you leaving me? But the positives are, they do love you, and they will support you, and they will get you the house at the end. And, I think that she struggles with this a lot in the film, obviously trying to not be Greek, but at the same time embrace it. And it's finding that balance, which I think is something that we all try to do. I've definitely felt smothered by my family at certain moments, at certain times in my life. But it does all, like you said about the father in this film, it all does come from love. It's not like they're doing this out of malice, or anything. It is out of love. I think this movie, that's why it was such a big hit, because it does speak to all these big universal themes that I think everyone, or not everyone, but most people maybe can feel about their family, even if they don't have, immigrant parents from Greece.
Totally.
I think it's at the end of the film, the message, I can't remember who says this, or maybe she does. It's probably from her play too. It's like, wherever I go, whatever I do, like my family's always going to be here and a part of me. Like I can't kind of get away from this. So I have to kind of embrace it, but at the same time, start my own path and do my own thing, which is, definitely something that, that I've felt over the years too, of like, yeah, my family's always going to be there, which is a good thing. But that doesn't mean I have to be defined by them all the time. But I still want to carry all the good things about that forward into my life and all my decisions. I think this is a great film, great film to include for sure. And a lot of fantastic family themes that she just did a very good job putting on screen.
Pretty amazing. And the other thing is that it's all very chaotic and over the top, but at least for me, I never felt like that I was laughing at these people.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think you're laughing with these people. You're actually laughing even at yourself and looking inward in your own life and such, and which I think is such a hard thing to accomplish in a movie, because this could easily become like a total ridiculous situation, but everybody is a caricature, everybody is just laughable, and then the heart of the movie is totally gone, and instead it's not that. The second thing which I want to also add was the guy who comes in, Jim Corbett's character, and that relationship, that is also such an important part of the movie, which also speaks to families, right? Like we're all going to at some point find that special someone for whatever duration of time that might be, a girlfriend in school or a boyfriend in college or somebody you're married to or what have you, who are going to step into your family. And I love that this guy could have been positioned as somebody who's anti all of this madness, or somebody who's scared of it or wants to run away from it. And maybe he does, but he leads with his kindness, and in many ways sort of helps her, to what you said at the end, realize that I can have both things. I can stand tall and be proud of where I come from and still love my family and still be my own person, my own woman, and make my own choices. So I think a lot of that comes from him, because she approaches him and tells him we should just run away. This is never gonna work. Just run away. And he's like, no, and it is sentimental if you want to take it that way, but I don't know. I just find it very sweet, and there's something very specific yet universal about this, like you said.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think the fact that this film very easily could have been, like you said, it is full of stereotypes, but in like a fun and a kind of a fun way. I think that speaks to the fact that, this is her life story in a sense. Like Nia did have, she was married to, some waspy guy outside of the Greek community. Unfortunately, they got divorced 10 years later, but This is based on that story. And she's able to write from truth and her own experience. I think that's why this comes across as not mocking any of these people. They just feel like real life, caricatures, but not in a negative way. And I think that's something that's very hard to do. And the easiest way to do that, though, is to come from truth. Yeah. I remember reading something at the time. She tried to get this made into a film for a very long time, and it wasn't until Tom Hanks's wife, who is Greek, like allowed her to do it. But a lot of the feedback originally was like, yeah, we want to make this, but like, let's make it all Hispanic people because that sells better. And it's like, yeah, well, that's not her experience. Like that still might be a great movie. And, you get someone with a Latin background to do it. Great. But you can't just kind of slap that on top of a film that is so personal. And I think that's why those things work so well in this movie, because you can tell, oh yeah, this is just her life. And yeah, this is silly. And some of the stuff does feel like, caricatures, but oh, well, like it's coming from a good place. It's a fun movie. Yeah, I think it's great. The sequel, not so good.
Oh God, no.
And the TV show should not be mentioned.
I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, My Big Fat Greek Life. They recast his character, but it was everyone else was from the movie was on the TV show at some network. I want to say it was CBS or NBC. It lasted for maybe like half a season before it got canceled. Not good. Does not work in a sitcom format. But this film is very great, and definitely one of the most famous sleeper blockbusters of the last like 20 years.
Cool. Wow. Didn't know about the TV show. Well,
and don't watch it. Don't try to find it. Yeah. Don't try to find it. Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.